Picture this. You're in a boardroom in Charlotte. Someone slides a memo across the table. Nobody says his name. Nobody has to. Everyone in that room already knows who broke their sport 3 weekends in a row. This is the story they don't want you connecting the dots on. A driver nobody in stock car racing should be able to beat is beating everyone. In the 2026 season, Shane van Gisbergen scored wins at Watkins Glen and Sonoma, adding to a road course dominance streak that began with his breakthrough win in Chicago in 2023. And right after he did it again, the rulebook moved. Before we go further, this channel is NASCAR Racing World, and we're closing in on 500 subscribers. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and leave a comment with your take on what's really going on here. Your support is what keeps this kind of reporting going, so thank you for being part of it. Now let's build his case, before we build the pattern against him. Shane van Gisbergen didn't come up through American short tracks. He arrived with 3 Supercars championships from Australia, a driving style built on a different continent, on different cars, under different rules. His skill set reads almost like a foreign weapon the ovals never trained for: late braking, precise corner entry, and throttle modulation that most Cup Series regulars never needed to master because most Cup Series tracks never demanded it of them. But he isn't cocky about any of it. In his own words, I think on road course weekends, I find there's probably 6 to 8 guys that you see consistently up there, and guys that are really highly good to race. You just don't know in NASCAR. That's a driver who respects the field he's beating, not one talking himself up. And that humility is exactly what makes the next part of this story land harder. Because here's what happened after he kept winning. First, the horsepower bump. NASCAR announced on October 8 that Cup Series engine output would increase to a target of 750 horsepower at tracks under 1.5 miles. Spoiler and fewer diffuser strakes. More power sounds like a gift on paper. But who does raw horsepower actually reward on a road course versus an oval? Second, and sharper, the playoff format shift. The 2026 season removed the long-standing win and in playoff guarantee and replaced it with a new 15-point bonus for race wins instead. Look at what that actually did through the season's first 11 races. All 6 winners were sitting inside the top 7 in points, and nobody outside the top 8, even without the bonus applied. Yet van Gisbergen, the 7th different winner of the season, was projected to sit somewhere in the 15th to 20th range for the rest of the regular season. A system that rewards everyone else for winning, and quietly doesn't reward him the same way. Third, the track shuffle. 5 tracks are shifting from intermediate rules packages to the short track and road course package for 2026. Is that a coincidence? Or does the calendar itself keep getting redrawn around the exact driver who exposed it? Individually, these are just rule tweaks. Stacked together, that's for you to decide. There's another layer to this worth laying out clearly as a question, not a conclusion, because this part is closer to insider speculation than confirmed fact. Trackhouse Racing, the team van Gisbergen drives for, runs engines built by ECR, not an in-house Hendrick program. Meanwhile, Chevrolet's manufacturer camp has been consolidating its technical resources heading into 2026. So, is he winning because of the team around him? Or in spite of where that team sits in the broader Chevy pecking order? That's a question worth investigating, not a fact anyone has confirmed. And here's the twist nobody's resolving for you tonight. He's still winning anyway. Sonoma, Watkins Glen, every rule change that's landed since his run started, and he keeps finding a way to the front of the field regardless. So is NASCAR building a fence around one driver, or is he just good enough that every fair rule change feels like one to the outside world? You tell me. Let's slow down and look at the horsepower change one more time, because it deserves more than a passing mention. NASCAR's October 8 announcement wasn't framed as a response to any single driver. It was framed as a broader competition adjustment, a bump to 750 horsepower at short tracks and road courses under 1.5 miles, paired with a smaller, 3-inch rear spoiler and a reduction in diffuser strakes underneath the car. On paper, more horsepower typically favors raw, straight-line speed and power down out of corners, which historically benefits drivers with oval backgrounds more than road course specialists who win on braking and cornering precision. That's the exact skill set van Gisbergen built his career on in supercars, and it's the same skill set that's carried him to wins at Chicago in 2023 and again at Sonoma and Watkins Glen in 2026. Now the playoff points structure. Before 2026, A single win during the regular season guaranteed a driver a playoff spot, regardless of where they sat in points, the win, and in rule. That rule specifically protected drivers who might not be championship caliber in points, but who could still win on a given day, which is exactly the profile Van Gisbergen fits as a part-time road course specialist entering full-time competition. Removing that guarantee and replacing it with a flat 15-point bonus changes the math entirely. A bonus only matters if you're already close enough in points for it to move your position meaningfully. Through 11 races, every winner was already inside the top 7 in points. Van Gisbergen, despite being a race winner, was projected in the 15 to 20 range. The 15-point bonus does very little for a driver that far back. The safety net that used to exist for exactly his kind of results is gone. Then there's the calendar. 5 tracks moving to the short track and road course rules package for 2026 means the same horsepower and aerodynamic changes discussed above now apply at more venues than before. Whether that shift helps or hurts a road course specialist depends entirely on execution, but it's a change worth watching alongside everything else on this list, not in isolation. Put those 3 pieces next to each other. A horsepower increase that historically favors oval-style driving, a playoff structure that removed the exact safety net a part-time winner like him used to rely on, and a calendar shift that changes the rules package at 5 more tracks. None of these on their own prove intent. Together, they form a pattern that a growing number of fans and analysts are noticing and asking questions about. The equipment angle adds one more thread. Trackhouse Racing's engine program runs through ECR, a separate operation from Hendrick Motorsports, which supplies engines to several other top Chevrolet teams. As Chevrolet consolidates its technical resources across its camp, heading into 2026, where Trackhouse sits in that hierarchy, becomes relevant to how competitive Van Gisbergen's equipment is relative to his rivals. This is speculation, not a confirmed fact, but it's a legitimate question for anyone following his results. Is he outperforming his equipment, or is the equipment underrated? Whatever the answer, the results keep happening anyway. Wins at Sonoma and Watkins Glen in 2026 came after every rule change discussed here was already in place. Every adjustment that's landed since his run began, and he's kept finding his way to victory lane regardless of the shifting rulebook around him. So where does that leave this story? NASCAR changed engine output specifications on Octet 8. NASCAR removed the win and in playoff guarantee for 2026. 5 tracks are shifting rules packages for 2026. Shane Van Gisbergen keeps winning regardless. Whether those 4 facts add up to a coordinated response to one driver, or simply overlap by circumstance, is something you can weigh for yourself with the full picture laid out here. If you found this breakdown useful, the best way to support the channel is simple. Subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment with your own read on whether these rule changes are coincidence or something more. Share it with another race fan who'd want to see this laid out. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.